It being 9 AM, we'll call our meeting to order. A pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands. Okay, first of all, we have an agenda that was submitted. Any changes or look for approval?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against say aye. Approve the previous minutes from April 11th meeting.
So move.
Greg, is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say same sign. Carried. Group work session we had last Tuesday, the 18th.
Make a motion to approve the workshop session minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, Bob, okay. Further discussion. There being none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say nay.
Nay, I wasn't here.
Okay. Very good. Moving on to public comment. At this point here, we call for public comment. Step forward to be on the camera and name a name and for the record. Anybody wish to have public comment? Public comment. Come ahead, sir.
Where am I supposed to stand? Right here?
It's got right about there, so you're on. No, you're on camera.
I just was reading last week at your meeting that there was brought up about the Second Amendment. A proposal for gun rights or whatever that we would you were gonna discuss that further or possibly get it started. Somebody had made the comment that there were several counties that have already done that. I'm just curious if you're gonna move ahead and do that or not. Thank you. Do you need my name?
Yeah.
Daniel Gap.
I guess we're still in discussion on that, waiting for the county attorney, for lack of a better word. Any other thoughts? Right. But we're still in the thinking stage, to be honest. Okay, thank you, Dan. If you come forward, please.
My name is Jan Crabble, and I'm here for the same reason as the gentleman who just spoke. And I really am here to voice a great deal of concern of putting any type of amendment like that forward in Houston County. Primarily because if you get online and you start to look at what this could entail, it could mean, in fact, that we refuse to follow state and federal laws that might be interpreted by some people as restricting the Second Amendment. And I'm basically opposed to anybody picking and choosing which laws they're going to follow, whether it be related to the speed limit or whatever else it might be. I think once laws are made, we follow them and we don't try to preempt what might be happening on the state level or the federal level. And so I would be greatly opposed and concerned if something like that were adopted in Houston County. I think it could lead us down a path of problems with law enforcement, with eventual litigation, if people get the wrong impression that they don't have to follow laws. And I think it could just be quite a mess. So I would speak against it, and I would ask you to seriously consider what you can find out about it and the problems that have been caused because of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Donna?
Polly, are you? Oh. Doesn't seem to be. Okay, moving on to, what we have at 9:05, we have a public hearing, so out there now, so we'll go to going to public hearing.
I make a motion, we adjourn the regular session.
Okay.
And go into a public hearing.
Is there a second to adjournment?
I'll second that.
Bob, Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Carry. We're here for a public hearing to approve the combination of a on-off sale liquor license and Sunday liquor license for Shellhorn Enterprises LLC, doing business with Shellhorn Bar and Grill. We have any comment as to the application? Any comment? See if I can pull it up here, but,
The applicant, go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, the applicants can come forward if they would like. Do they have anything to say or?
I guess, yeah, come forward if you're the applicants as the advisor of what you're planning, and maybe some question will come up then, but right now we're trying to get information. Understand you're the new owner, so.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're applying for a liquor license and a Sunday liquor license,
Correct.
okay, which includes off sale.
Yep.
Okay. Any question of the applicant?
Is that the same license that it was under before? I mean, the same arrangement as far as the way the license was set up?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, we just mimicked everything Terry had.
You have to have a new license.
Yeah.
Correct.
New applicants understand. Okay,
Well, it's good to see that it's gonna still be going and open.
Thank you.
appreciate that. Believe, any comments you want to make about it, other than are you gonna be starting, when are you gonna start here, May 1st then?
Yeah, as soon as we can get everything from the state, so, and today's meeting, so.
Okay.
May 1st is the tentative date.
Gotcha.
So you had to reapply to the state as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
For food and everything?
Yes.
How's that been going?
That went smooth,
Yeah, we got the
actually.
food license easy.
That was just give me some money and inspect the place.
Any other question, comment? This is the public hearing for any people to voice their concerns or questions. Does not appear to be any on the screen I can recognize.
So Donna, was there any comments submitted or no?
No, there was not.
Okay. Do you have anything you'd like to add or?
No.
Okay.
Well then,
Glad to
Yes.
see you're opening it up again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
any other thought? Otherwise, we'll close the special.
Yeah,
hearing.
I make a motion, we close the public hearing and go back into regular session.
Is there a second?
Yep.
Yep. All right. All in favor, say aye. We're back in regular session. Part of our consent agenda is the approval of an application for gambling, approval of a combination liquor Sunday for Shellhorn, approval of license or temporary fair, and approve advertising for 67-day deputy for water patrol, which is a consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Further discussion? There being none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Carried. We approve your license.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yes, moving on to action items. Consider approving the reappointment of Commissioner Robert Burns to Selco FELS Board of Directors for a 3-year term. The current term ends July 31st, 2023. Eligible to serve another 3-year term. Donna's got the
Yes.
request.
Yes, commissioners, I was contacted by Cindy Dunbar from Selco. And she asked if I would bring this to the Board of Commissioners. Bob is finishing his first term as a member of the Selco Board of Directors and is eligible to serve another 3-year term. So the first term runs through the July annual meeting, and she said she appreciated his dedication as he has served on the Salco and Sells Board. So I brought it to you commissioners for approval to run another term.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion to reappoint Bob Burns. Selco Board of Directors for 3 years.
there a second,
I'll second that.
assume you accept that, Mr. Burns. All in, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay, or abstention. You're on the board there, Mr. Burns. Thank you. Number 2, consider approving resolution 2316 Viking Ridge, Riders Snowmobile Trail, 2317 La Crescent Snowmobile Trail, 2318 Houston Money Creek Snowmobile Trail, and 2319 Gopherland Snowmobile Trail. These are agreements, Donna?
Yes, correct, Commissioner. Every year we get we have to submit to the board to approve resolutions as we are sponsors, and we do the paperwork for the Viking Ridge Rider Snowmobile Trail, the La Crescent Snowmobile, the Houston Money Creek, and the Gopherland Snowmobile Trail. So every year we actually act as a sponsor for them and help submit the paperwork so they can get their funds for their trails each year.
Real maintenance.
Trail maintenance, okay?
We're the fiscal agent. I make a motion to approve the resolutions for all 4 mobile clubs.
Second.
Further discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carried. Number 3, consider approving a revised work order under MnDOT partnership agreement for our Minnesota 26 County State Aid Highway 3 project that was approved on March 14th, 2023. MnDOT has sent back to update the wording on sections, a few sections to include attachments to wherein, and Brian, you're gonna explain all that.
Yes, so I was in here a couple weeks ago, approved MnDOT partnership agreement. This is for the intersection in Brownsville of CSAT 3 and Trunk Highway 26. MnDOT got back a hold of me, said that the template that was used for that agreement that the board approved was an outdated template, so that the auditors of the state's audit of the auditors came back and said that we had to approve an updated agreement. So the basics of this agreement are very similar to the previous agreement. There's some stuff, they added a few bullet points. More of the changes are moving a bullet point from one section to another. So basically there's no changes as far as the state's participation. They're still participating $59,000, and the county is responsible for the rest of the design cost. The one attachment on exhibit B, I believe, exhibit D, it uses a different
David?
exhibit D for David, shows a different overhead rate for the consultant than what was actually proposed by the consultant. And I talked to the state about that difference in the actual amount used will be the amount in the agreement that the consultant provided to us. When the state has 2 different numbers, they use the number that's on file with the state. So even though that number is different from our quote from the consultant, we'll use the consultant's costs. So really that'll get worked out in the end. That's how the state attorneys wanted to see that language in here. So that just we really don't have a whole lot of say or control of this agreement. Otherwise, we want to use that state money to help participate with this project.
Same project, just review because of it being on a different format.
Yeah.
Move to approve.
Second.
Greg, second. Okay, further discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carried. Number 4, consider approving contract Fireside Manager LLC, Amber Miller, Steve Getzinger to manage Wildcat Park for the 2023 camping season. Right.
So since the last meeting, we've had some discussion back and forth between the Houston County and Fireside Management LLC. The draft agreement has been put together. The county submitted the original agreement that was in the board packet to Fireside Management LLC. They got back to us the next day with the attachment that got emailed out last night. That has a few additional changes. If you want, I can go through kind of the highlights of what's in those changes for you. Staff, Don and I have been talking about this stuff. We emailed to the interview committee on the proposed changes. A lot of the changes in there are kind of clarifications. There's no real major changes on that front. So I guess I'll leave it up to you guys if you want me to go over that. The main changes otherwise though is the split in the percentage of what the money that comes into the county or into Fireside Management, how much will be come to the county, how much will be retained by Fireside Management LLC. So the original agreement that we talked about that we proposed to Fireside Management was split the net proceeds of the concessions, which includes all the goods, vending machine sales, bait, firewood, 50-50, and then also split the boat launch fees 50-50 as well. Through some back and forth, the ultimate result in this revised agreement would be concession split 85% Fireside Management, 15% county. And then for the boat launch would be the opposite way, 85% county, 15% Fireside Management. So that is the largest change that's in this agreement. The other stuff pretty much just kind of add some clarification that contractor's not required to be on site once the campground closes down, even though the contract extends beyond the end of the camping season. The electronic registration for campsites, for booking sites, that's they'll start the process immediately to get that up and going, but it's not going to be active on day one when the campground opens or when this agreement goes in place. There's a period of time it's going to take to bring everything, get all that software going and utilizing that system. So there's stuff like that where kind of clarify some of the items like that. So any questions on this? Otherwise,
I was looking at under 5H, that the county reimbursing for phone and internet.
yeah, okay, yes.
That
So
was not, and then previous agreement, it was the contractor that paid that,
Yeah.
correct?
Yep, so good catch there. So two things I should have mentioned. Under 5H, so it does have in there that the county will add contractor as an administrator to the telephone and internet accounts for the park. Previously, that account has been transferred back and forth. So previously the prior park manager had the account in their name. It got transferred to the county at the end of that contract. So we could transfer that back into their name. And then also previously we did not reimburse for any telephone or internet. That was just part of the total compensation package. So I guess that is up to you guys if you want to include that in the compensation package or if that's a reimbursable expense. Initially, yes, that was not in our proposal for us to reimburse for that expense. And then the other thing I should have mentioned is under there's kind of some notes under numbers 7 and 8 that talks about reevaluate and discuss the best way forward for supplies and stuff. I don't believe that needs to be included in this contract because this is a 1-year agreement. So everything within this agreement for terms will be up for negotiation discussion at the end of the camping season.
Okay,
So just to be clear. So the concessions would be 85 Amber, 15 county.
Yep.
And the boat launch is 15 county, 85, no, 85 county, 15 Amber, right?
And
And
then
the concessions, that's net.
Correct.
concessions is net, yes. And I believe Attorney Yant is gonna be coming over. I'm not sure if he is here yet, he is not. And then we do have both Amber and Steve here from Fireside Management, so
Would you like to come forward?
we'll move to the side and let them have the middle.
Commissioner
Tony?
Sam is on his way. He's coming in 5 minutes.
Brian, in the previous agreement, concessions went to
Previous agreement had 100% of the boat launch fee came to the county and 100% concessions went to the park manager.
So we're going from having zero income from the concessions to only getting 15%.
Getting 15, yep, so there is a little bit. So the county does pay for the electricity inside that building and stuff, so that's where we were getting nothing before, even though we're spending money on electricity for the fridge and freezer and stuff. So
So we'll be getting a little
we'll be getting a little bit more
before we.
on
get
that,
anything,
and
Right?
And we're paying more too. Last year we paid 42,000,
last year, I believe was 30,
39 plus that free deal.
yeah.
So we're up 6,000 from last year already.
We're up about 5,000 because the new agreement is 48,000. But last year, the agreement, the county purchased the supplies for the restrooms, so the soap and the toilet paper and everything in the main bathroom area. That was $13,000, or $1,200 to $1,300 last year. So this agreement is essentially 47,000 plus that additional cost of supplies to get to that 48,000.
But we're paying for phone now too. And internet. We're
Actually-
reimbursing for phone and internet.
Contractor is going to pick up phone and internet.
Say what?
The contractors, we will be paying for phone and internet, so that also needs to be changed in the contract, so.
But if we're reimbursing you at the cost of the county. Under 5.
You're not reimbursing us.
So that will change in
Yeah.
that, in the agreement, so.
We are paying for phone and internet and not being reimbursed.
We will strike that out of
Okay, because I'm looking at the red ink here on, the page 4 of the 16-page contract. It says the contract, county will add the fee and reimburse. That's what I was reading here. County will reimburse contract and all payments made within this period.
So it sounds like the discussion, and I know that was between Amber and Donna had that, so that line will be stricken.
Mhm.
Okay, so now we're getting.
Well, let's just do it this way. Why don't you tell us what what you would like to, the changes you would like to see and what you plan on doing?
Yeah, so the reason for the changes in the contract, like you said, was to clarify and everything like that. So what we would like to do is the 48,000 for our base salary, and what that's for is basically the skills that we're now bringing to the table to move this from the pen and paper registration system that Jake had to the online system. That is going to be a massive undertaking. After that, it would be the same as always, 50-50 split for anything after the regular camping. The sites on the south side, I guess.
85 non-seasonal.
The non-seasonal, so the 85-15 is for concessions. So when it comes to concessions, the county originally proposed 50-50. This is a brand new way of doing this. This wasn't in the previous contracts. And so as of right now, we don't know what the previous manager brought in. And so this is just kind of a way for us to all kind of go in this together and find out what that number is for the first year. And then renegotiate next year. We will pay for phone and internet. That's the discussion Donna and I had. There is talks of a manager's site behind the office, so that way we have a central location and campers know where we're at. That way they can bring any concerns to us. My thoughts there are that the county would pay for getting installed electrical and water to that site because then that becomes an asset. And then we pay for any expenses for our personal camper.
Kind of like a camp host site.
Yes, yep, exactly.
Yeah, you're gonna be there full time. right?
Yeah, we
You're
are
gonna be
there.
living there.
We will be living there all summer, and hopefully we like camping at the end of this. So, when it comes to cleaning and supplies, previously those were picked up by the county, but we decided that we will take on those fees and, see what that is as well for the next season. Let's see here. And I think that's pretty much it.
So Brian, have you looked into the providing electrical and water to that?
We are looking into it. We don't have prices back of what that cost is, and that'll bring it forward to the Parks Committee. They do have sites, a couple different sites booked, I believe, on that south end that covers the majority of the seasons. So if we don't get those in right away, there's a place for them to be down there for all but one or two of the busy weekends, of which we'll figure out how to make that work out. We're looking into what it'll cost to add water and electric to put one site up by the office area. And then also at one point, just 2 years ago, we talked about adding additional sites in that area by the pond.
Right.
So we're also getting a price to know what it would cost to put in one site or what it would cost to put in 3, 4, 5 sites. So I will have that number to bring back to the park board. At this time with the water being up, we can't get the contractors in there to really get a good look at the sites. So that'd be coming forward at some point.
Logistic wise, that would make the most sense to put it there. Next to the office building.
Yeah, it'd be nice that way. When we went through the interview process, I want to say the majority, or I believe actually all of them wanted to have all the different applicants wanted to have a site down there. Some of them wanted to have it by the office area. Some of them wanted to have be far away from the office area. Everyone wanted to have a designated site that they could be on throughout the entire year. You know, financially, if it doesn't make sense to add additional sites, we might want to look at just, you know, selecting a different site for 2024 and making that become the designated site, maybe across the road or something. But we are looking into that on what the best option is.
The additional sites are the ones that we had talked about south of the shower building.
South of the shower bill. Yeah.
There's a parking lot, some stalls, some of the sites south of that.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, Sam,
So you'll be paying for the phone and internet, but you're gonna be starting a new program for reservations through the internet.
Yeah, the goal is to move the current reservation system to an online platform to make it a better experience for campers and also for us in the county. So that way everything is online, everybody has access to everything. Yeah, so, I mean, Wildcat has been the same for many, many years, and we've got a lot of ideas, and I've heard from people in the community and fellow campers. We've spent the last 5 years down there camping, so we know personally the changes that need to be made and to bring it up to speed. And we are very excited at the possibility of doing that and mostly bringing new people into Wildcat, because it really amazes me the amount of people that have never been there from Houston County. And it's our happy place, and we want to share that with everybody else.
Kind of tag on, Ms. Miller, right?
Yep.
All right. I had a person shadowing in our office, high school student. I told her what I was going to do. I said, if you really want to see how things are done, come on over to the county board meeting. And sampling everything, just not the criminal stuff. And I was kind of explaining what we're doing, and to tag on what Ms. Miller said is that she had no idea Wildcat Park even exists. And so, you know, that's your future camper type person. And to go into sort of the discussion for today, and I'm not gonna say it's a problem, it's more of just a reality, is this is a unique type of situation that we're in, that probably we won't be in any further, in that we have a business, or a business campground was being run, and now we're shifting it to do ownership, and if, to use the analogy, like if we were gonna buy a business, we would look at the books, and then we'd get a good idea of what, profits, losses, what their the prior owner's expenses were, and the machines that were there. And Ms. Miller and the county's kind of in the same spot. We have this contract that we're trying to form, and we have minimal information. And that's why this contract from the start was discussed, it'd be for 1 year, because at the end of the year, Ms. Miller is going to know a lot more, and the board will know a lot more. And so the contract was sent to Ms. Miller, and she responded with the contract was sent out to Ms. Miller. That was our offer. And then I view her strikeouts and suggestions as a counteroffer. And most of those counteroffers, the items in there, I think are not what I do as legal counsel. It's more business decisions for the county. And so I can't finalize that until I know what the numbers are. And they do have a little bit of effect at the contract as a whole. But by and large, what I would generally be concerned about, term of the contract, how to get out of the contract for cause, without cause, jurisdiction, and insurance, any hold harmless clause, indemnification, that's pretty much squared away. And I did have a question about two issues specifically, and I thought it'd be best just to address it here. The LLC, I did talk to the attorney who drafted the LLC prior to it being finalized. He knew what our concerns were, their competent legal counsel, whether the LLC affords our concerns regarding the Corps' engineers. I think it probably does, but if it doesn't for some reason, that would be a material breach of the contract. We have that issue we have the part of the contract that says if there's a breach and it's not complied with, we can terminate the contract. Same way with the insurance. And it makes total sense that Ms. Miller is waiting for to get this. That's a condition subsequent, I guess, is getting the contract done, signed by the board, and then she'll get the insurance. And certainly I'm no insurance expert, but from what has been, been represented to me, and the documentation I've received, it looks like it's going to cover what we want. And I think also too is that just from my perspective on this, is that again, because this is a work in progress. I think some of you have been on the board longer. This has gone back for years. It's been a concern of my office for a long time because of the issues that we're raising. And this is a difficult contract because of this things I've outlined. But I do think in the end, we're at a much, much better place than we were prior to the contract being formed here. So it's important to know, I think, that we can't let perfect become the enemy of good on these type of things. And again, later, we're gonna, after the end of the year, when we renegotiate, we're all gonna be in a different position as far as some of the numbers. So overall, I'm okay with the contract going forward. But just as your counsel, I would tell you is that your options are, it's today, the way I see them, is to just accept a counteroffer as is. You can with the modifications, and then you can counteroffer to the vendor, which would be Ms. Miller. We could look to another. We could say, fine, we're going to also look to another vendor. I know there was a runner-up. Look to that vendor and just see if they wanted to see where they're at as far as potentially looking at entering into a contract with us. And I guess that's really, I just think that's what your options are today. If you intend to discuss the counteroffer, I guess, again, most of what I'm seeing in there is the percentages of how much the net, the gross, and that. I would suggest you rely on, it's not my area of expertise, rely on either Ms. Donna Trias, our Carol, Ms. Lapham in finance, and then Brian, if you have any questions about that. And just have this, I guess, you can use the word negotiate, but you can discuss the counter offer with Ms. Miller, and then if you come to an agreement, we'll enter those changes into the contract and get it out to for your review and for Ms. Miller's review again, and then hopefully we can reach an agreement.
Okay. Contract as it's laid out. You don't have a problem.
Overall, those things that are, I think are in my legal realm, I'm not really opposed to. I think we're good there. What I'm seeing in her counter offer, her changes, proposed changes are more of money issues, if you will. And that's again, you know, and to give you the full answer, obviously, any part of this contract is not in isolation. So it does affect other things. But again, if you go back to where I started with this, is that we're in a lot better spot at this point, specifically the insurance. That is something that either wasn't in place, is now in place, and it's proposed, we're not paying. So there's a substantial change of circumstances just in that spot.
So you looked into insurance, right?
We are ready to bind today if the
Okay,
contract goes
All right.
through. So we're ready to go.
right. Yeah. So you know what that expense is?
Yep.
Okay,
With regard to the concessions, when you talk about concessions, I know Jake had candy, pop, you get firewood, you get bait. Basically, and water. If you expand concessions to having, you know, big coolers and whatnot. You're not gonna start a kitchen or something like that. They can buy prepackaged stuff. I'm just looking at it from a state licensing point of view,
Right.
you know, that if you have whoever it is brings in their machines and they service some machines and whatnot. So it's not a big change as far as that's concerned. We didn't get anything out of the concession before.
Right.
But we're getting something out of the concessions and we're giving up a little bit of the boat ramp deal. But if we put their camper in a different spot, we're gaining a camper site too, at least one.
correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And I
Brian
think
puts it together that we get a couple of more.
Yeah.
That's,
and it's a benefit that they'll be there at full time. To watch over it.
I wanna,
I question full time, but
Well,
you'll have a number that people can reach you if you're not there.
we plan to, if I'm there, or if he leaves, I'm there, like, we plan to be there and to really show the county our value.
I'm just saying if it's a family function.
Right, yeah.
Go or something.
There's one wedding.
You'll be in town.
Yeah. I also want to add that we anticipate the revenue for camping itself to be higher. Because when we move from that paper system to the online system, it's going to be much more efficient. And the reservation system that we want to use utilizes the campground to its fullest ability. So as things go on, we also plan to implement either deposits or cancellation fees, something of that nature, which hasn't previously been done. So, and you know, if the weather's nice, we'll extend the season. So we anticipate revenue being higher in kind of all areas.
Brian, if the weather's nice extending the season, our agreement with Core does not have any restrictions on that.
No, that is up to us and the park manager to make a
So
decision.
the extension is not.
Gonna be delayed 3 weeks to get there.
Yeah, well, I think it's good that they have some. They get some revenue from the boat launch just to make sure that's being addressed and being watched and collecting the fees on that. And I don't have a problem with the concessions that she brought up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we're confident a campsite. Two folks in, they're $2,700.
For the season?
Yeah.
Yes,
That's $450 a month times 6 months. So if we didn't have the contract, we did, you'd be paying that amount of money.
correct.
Yeah.
And the previous manager didn't pay anything either to stay down there, so.
Well, we're not losing anything because we're gonna put your campsite either behind or beside the facility, so the campsite that you had in the past is gonna be available
Correct.
for the summer, so we don't lose the $450 a month.
So to clarify, the 5H is gonna go back to the original contract, the contractor pays the phone and internet, not us reimbursing for those type of costs.
Correct.
That's what printed in the red here. Okay, so that needs to be changed in the contract, go back to our proposal. Any other questions, discussion?
Well, just along with the changes in the sharing of concessions and boat launch.
Is that a change or that's already in the contract?
It's in the
That's
contract now.
Well, it's
No.
outlined, it's not officially in
The counter?
Yep, it was outlined in the counter.
So we need to, is that agreeable to go with the counter offer or go with our offer? Feeling of the board.
I'm fine with the counter offer that they proposed.
I'm fine with their offer, yeah.
Consensus?
We'll need a consensus. We
need a
just
motion.
have vote.
I'll make a motion to approve. I don't know why I do this. That we approved Amber Miller and Steve Getzinger as park managers for Wildcat with the change in language in the contract referring to the concession stands, the concession splits, the boat launch splits, and the non-reimbursement of the phone and internet. Correct?
And
Makes
Fireside
sense, everybody?
Management LLC.
And for Fireside Management LLC.
Yes, if that's what the board's judgment is, I will have those changes made. And the contract, send them out to review for Ms. Miller to review for form and content, and then if everybody's satisfied the language, what the intent was. Then we can start moving it around for signature.
Now, just to clarify too. We're not going with all the counter language that was submitted to us in the red ink here, right?
My understanding was what was outlined in the motion, which was the fees. And I think it was the phone and the boat launch.
Yep.
Yep.
So basically, the counties proposed
Yes,
will be used with those
With the changes of
changes.
three changes.
three changes, boat
Three.
launch, concessions, percentages, the boat launch. And then the phone.
The phone wasn't in the original one, so you
Yeah.
don't need to. But it's noted that we're not reimbursing.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. That's the motion.
Second.
Further discussion?
Vote by roll, please.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
Congratulations, we got it done.
Was undoubtedly my third child.
As just a little note, as a camper down there, I like some of the changes you're talking about.
Yeah, we're very excited. So lots of changes and we'll get through this and thank you guys
And,
all.
and just be prepared that you're probably gonna get people coming to you and saying, well, I was promised this and that, so I'm sure you already thought of that stuff.
Oh, yeah, we're very well acquainted with the south side and ready for that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Brian. Hey, any quotes on that?
Number 5, reappoint Joan.
Guardrail?
I got the cross sections. I haven't had a chance to fully look at them. But
I'll,
Okay,
you brought up number 5.
I was just going to. Like, reappoint Joan Pine Welch to the Water Plant Committee. Are the dates correct here?
So the dates are correct. This would be retroactive. Her term expired and they didn't realize it, but she has been still serving and voting, so we just got it on when we realized it.
So this is just cleaning up, reappointment.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Joan Himewell.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carried. That takes care of the action items. Anything else that you'd like to add before we go to discussion?
No.
Okay, moving on to discussion. Greg is with us today. Hope things are gonna get better for him from the surgery. What, anything going on you wanna add?
I guess all that I got to worry about was, I had a department head meeting Monday, me and Bob. Things look good there. Got a zoning meeting coming up Thursday night. And I don't know if you guys can be in on that or not. I don't know why you can't. There's no decision. You guys gonna be on Zoom, I'm pretty sure. And TKD, the comprehensive land use plan is gonna be here and doing that. Talking to both the planning commission and the board of adjustment.
All Thursday night?
On Thursday night, so I mean, I don't know why you can't, I'm gonna be coming in on Zoom, so. There's nothing being decided, so. I don't know why you guys couldn't listen in.
And I think a lot of what TKDA will do is talk about the same things that they talked with you guys about at the work group session.
Okay.
And I know you weren't able to be at the work group session, so the commissioners kind of have the gist now. I mean, not to say that you couldn't go again, but it'll be a review of same thing that they did here
Yeah.
already.
Can you just share that in the email in case we want to zoom in on?
I don't have that Zoom information.
Martin,
Okay.
oh, Martin, I got it.
Very good.
And I guess that's about all I got on tap for right now.
Mr. Schultz.
I was at department head meeting yesterday too. It was my first department head meeting, so it was some good information there that was shared. None of the departments had any big issues to bring to the table, which I guess is good. Tomorrow, talking to Martin, we're having a meeting with the DNR and some other folks on that subdivision that's proposed down in McCrescent Township, and I was invited to attend that, so I'm gonna.
Is that what, I thought that was dated yesterday, tomorrow.
No, it's tomorrow,
Oh.
Wednesday at 1 o'clock, so.
Okay.
On site, and I guess that a representative from the DNR is coming too that has some wetland concerns. Should be more to come.
Okay. That's it, Bob?
Yep.
Okay, Robert.
I don't have a whole lot to report on for meetings, but I do have. I talked to Father Wagner with regard to the parking lot there during construction in the west lot. Talked to him about that. There's someplace between 40 and 45 stalls. You can use the first 3 on this side of the parking lot, on the west side of their parking lot. The conversation came around to about $1,000. That would be $2.50 a stall per week for 10 weeks, assuming that you get done over a 2.5 month period. So I said I would bring that back to the board on how long?
2.5 months.
From start to finish. Close that up and start removing. I don't know how long after they're done before the pavement. If they're gonna get some paving ready on other parts of the city project. And we could back it up and offer 750 for a couple of months and say they're good enough.
Oh,
No, that's fine.
it's just,
We gotta encourage the county staff to use that parking lot. so there's room for the public for access to get in DMV and recorders off the lot here.
They said the only thing that would possibly be a big problem if there was a child. They're gonna have their staff park in the back parking lot. What they call it, church. He didn't anticipate it was gonna be a problem. Second, I know we can't take action because it's not a.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd report that. You can think about it. We can put it on the next agenda. The second thing I wanted to report on, I had mentioned earlier about a possibility of Houston County getting involved with a housing rehab grant through SEMCAC. The housing rehab grant, like Rushford has one $300,000 grant. It can go up to $25,000 per project. It's a 30-year, up to 30 years. At the end of 30 years, you pay back the, assuming it's 25,000, you pay back the 25,000. If you sell the house, you pay back the 25,000
That's it.
within that 30-year period. So it's not a forgiven grant. It's a grant that you pay back. The county could ask for, they asked that we provide 10%, so $20,000. Would have to come out of ARPA. And the $20,000, we could ask that it be reimbursed to the county or just treat it as a forgivable grant. Because 30 years from now, who's gonna remember the $2,000?
I'll remember it.
You'll remember. That's it. And like I said, this is food for thought, but I mean, Rushford's done it and they've had pretty good success with it. In our case, it would be the entire county rather than given city. In Caledonia did the grant for business, rental and housing, $800 and some thousand. This $200,000 would be available countywide. So it could be a rural as well as a city. So I think it would serve the entire county.
I did talk to Cindy just because I work on her with other grants.
Yep.
And I think it would be for Fillmore and Houston County. And then split between the two.
Yeah, so
Well-
Fillmore County would be participating as well,
No.
possibly.
No. When I talked to Cindy, I talked to Mitch. If Fillmore doesn't participate, if Fillmore participated 20,000, our 20,000 would be a $400,000.
Okay,
If Fillmore doesn't participate, it's Houston County stands alone, $200,000.
Okay. Okay.
So.
But it's just a one-time
It's a
20,000.
One-time 20,000. So it's food for thought,
Yeah, I don't think that'd be a bad idea.
and it could come out of ARPA funds to benefit to the. Well.
To the greater
25,000
Houston
to
County,
the
all of Houston,
Help everybody.
the eight that would
to a
apply.
limit.
I mean, if it's 25,000, if it's 20,000. There'd be 10 in the apply. That's what they asked for, but it's food for thought. To consider, we can put it on next week's agenda. What we,
We get more information, and I think, I like the idea of helping, and the ARPA would be a great place to utilize those funds.
it's more information.
More,
I did send you guys an email with a sample of the one in Albert Lee, would basically be the same as that.
would you send,
In between the last meeting that Bob mentioned it at. With the highlights,
try and find
I can re-forward it if you want me to.
anything else, Robert?
Nope, I don't think you can report on the finance.
All two things? Yeah. Eric,
I don't really have nothing to report. I just got that email from Tess about CDG group. I want to come meet with us on our next workshop. Discuss the space utilization study and it'd be, what's that? 2 hours, yeah, so I mean, I'd like to see, we all get some ideas in our heads and figure out what looks best or what we need to do, or, you know. I just want to remind everybody to start thinking about that again.
Anything else?
No,
I don't have much either. The finance meeting this morning went pretty smooth, pretty quiet. There's I guess there's some legislation that coming down that for what's the term that John used for Medicaid to
The medical assistance, offset medical
Offset.
assistance change cost.
about 87,000 would be coming down the board. To cover some of those expenses. Quite a bit of discussion about enterprise. There's gonna be a updating meeting in May for people who are in that. And some thought or concern that maybe perhaps with all the issues we've had with enterprise recently, fulfilling contracts, and we could look at other ways to supply our vehicles for the county. So that's just in the thinking stage right now. No thoughts or plans, or it just seems like we order a vehicle and they come up and say we can't find one, or we can't do this, or they're cutting things, and I guess the discussion narrows right around it. In all honesty, to think about purchasing the future instead of sticking with the leases because of pricing and concerning. And then we'd have to, of course, during our budget time, be prepared for those and basically set aside money instead of having spikes when we buy a new vehicle or something. So just some thoughts thrown around. All at this time, nothing more than that.
You think?
First quarter is pretty quiet.
Think we need to put a committee together for something, to look into that leasing when we're buying vehicles?
Well, we could keep looking at it through the finance group, I imagine, and then if I think by fall, we should decide if we're gonna continue with enterprise. I don't know the contract dates of all these things. They vary, I suppose. So
Wasn't it May the 4th that Enterprise was gonna do a presentation?
on plans.
Working.
oh, so they're gonna come here next month?
11 o'clock by Zoom.
Okay.
So there's,
Well, I know there was talk of like the highway department and maybe possibly the sheriff's department going away from it.
Yeah.
But we would keep it for our the rest of our vehicles for like public health, assessor's office.
again, these are discussion things because sometimes we think the vehicle is gonna be utilized more, and then you're at the end of the lease and only has a few thousand miles on it, and if we owned it, we could, adjust our replacement schedule.
Well, Brian talked about it yesterday at the department head meeting too. He says, we got vehicles that the leases are coming due on them and they're worth $45,000 yet.
Yeah.
A lot of value in that pickup when lease is done.
So that's kind of where we're at right now. That came up like that's prime example right there, worth more than we would. Whatever. So. And that's about all. Otherwise,
I just thought of something too, that maybe just for your information, but Brian's notified me too about the DNR for Houston boat launch. They applied for a grant and they won the grant, so they're going to work on a plan to put in a boat launch, but will be done until October 24, wasn't it, Brian? So a lot of planning gonna go into that baby, so
But there is some action.
there's some action coming on that.
that's good. Okay, nothing else then? Pause. Moving on to public comment. Is there any public comment? Any further public comment? Entertain a motion to our adjournment. So move. There's a second
I'll second it.
discussion. There not being, all in favor, say aye.
There's never discussion.